Good evening. We'll call this meeting to order. Roll call, please, Ms. Waters.
Commissioner Gandy?
Here.
Commissioner Butcher?
Here.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Here.
Commissioner Trujillo?
Here.
And Mayor Campos.
Here. Now, Commissioner Butcher will lead us in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance and the state flag salute.
Our Heavenly Father, Lord, we want to thank you for this glorious day. Lord, we want to thank you for letting us all wake up and see it. Lord, just bless us, bless all the commission, staff, and employees, Lord, of the city. Bless those that are sick and not able to take care of themselves. Lord, just bless this meeting that we can make all the right decisions. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, do we have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
I'll make that motion. We approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
We have a second. Discussion. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Do we have another motion?
Make a motion we consider regular minutes of January 22nd, 2018.
Second. We have a second. Discussion. Seeing that there's none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, now we'll go into the commissioners and staff report, starting out with Mr. Duncan himself.
Mayor and Commissioners, just I see the report. We did a pre-walkthrough of Polk Street with Constructors Inc., and we'll be doing the final walkthrough on this Friday to complete the project. They do have 17 rain days added onto that, so just to get some of the stuff that we see that doesn't meet. So, but they will be pouring a little bit of addition of the extra asphalt tomorrow. And 17th Street, we did meet with Constructors Inc. last Thursday, and they are back on site hauling dirt from the site out to the well field, and we'll be digging the irrigation or the pond, the holding pond, and moving forward with the project.
All right, very good. Anything else to report?
No, sir.
Any questions from the commission? I do, in talking to you earlier, I know that there's some work being done on, is it Carter or Avenue Q?
Avenue Q, we did go back behind, I believe it was 1100, 1102 Avenue Q in Carter, and replaced a little bit of sewer line. The sewer line, we cambered it, and it had a little bit of a sag in it from improper bedding to the line, and went back in there and replaced that section of line. We did move forward with the robot inside the sewer line, and we're seeing massive amounts of roots penetrating through the taps. So we have had instructed the wastewater treatment plant to order a root cutter to stick on the end of their nozzle to see if we can get some of those out of the way. And
very good.
Camera further on.
I just wanted to thank you for doing that and helping those folks out.
Well, I had one question. Oh, go ahead. Multiple questions. So the project off Polk Street, from the time we started till the time we ended, approximately how much time has that been?
I believe it was an 80-day. Was it a 100-day project?
100-day project. Are we
Yes.
Still sitting within the 100-day, or we've already lapsed that 100?
No, we were sitting within the 100 days, and
okay.
Like I said, there were 17 rain delays that we calculated on there.
Okay, 7 rain days, is that
17.
17.
If I may, Mayor and Commissioners, there were 17 weather days that have to be given to the contractor, but also because of the subgrade conditions that we had to issue the change order, and that actually allowed an additional 21 days beyond the original February 19th, or I'm sorry, 16th completion date. So they've actually completed the project or they will complete the project on time as originally scheduled without having to use any of the weather days or additional contract time.
Okay, and that's already in the contract, right?
Yes, sir.
It's got been getting a lot of complaints about that. I mean, it's coming. And I didn't know what we could do better to make it quicker, because I thought in the interim, we talked about it being a 45-day project, went from a 45-day to a 100-day project, and we got a lot of people upset off that.
And we did have the soil density or the moisture content, and that was the extra amount of the 21 days, but we had to go back in there, actually remove some of the driveway and add some of the different lining for the subgrade.
And on 17th, how are we looking on there?
17th, we did meet with them on Thursday, and they are actually going to, we talked about them coming back in and milling 6 inches to reactivate the line. That way we can get the density test though at the 95% compaction that the New Mexico DOT standards has. But they're gonna move forward on removing the dirt and starting the irrigation or the pond, the holding pond.
So that's all gonna be together. Okay. What's the time frame we're looking at? In case somebody asks me, when are you gonna open
I
up?
believe.
Oh, so that road's gonna be shut down till August?
Yes.
And, okay, just in case somebody asks. All right, thank you.
Just send them to Wyatt.
Yeah, that's all, I got your number. Speed dial. No,
Thank you for that, Wyatt.
I won't do that.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chepson.
Mayor and Commission, I received a notice on Friday from the state auditor telling us that in 5 days we'll be allowed to publish our annual financial report from fiscal 2017. And I'm hoping that I'll get printed copies before our next commission meeting to be able to present to you.
Very good. Still an unmodified opinion.
Yes,
Correct.
sir.
All right, very good. Glad to hear that. Thank you. Anything else?
No, sir.
All right. Ms. Love?
Nothing to report, sir.
Thank you. Mrs. Juarez?
Nothing to report.
Nothing? All right, very good. All right. Anything to report from the Santa Fe meeting?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Sanchez?
Well, I'd just like to say, I'm glad to see Mr. Graham here. I hadn't seen him in a long time. It's been a while. Welcome.
He finally decided to work, I guess.
Well, I got one thing this is personal. Don't take it. This is just personal. Yesterday was February 11th. I celebrated my 55th wedding anniversary.
All right.
Congratulations.
All right. Congratulations.
That's
Fantastic.
it.
Tell your wife we said congratulations as well, Mr. Sanchez. All right. Commissioner Butcher?
I don't have anything at this time.
All right, very good. I don't have hardly anything at all, David.
Hardly.
I do want to thank, I want to thank Leslie. I'm glad she's here. I want to thank her for the work she did in getting the public forum ready and running, and I appreciate the work that you did there on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce and also the banquet. The banquet was very nice. We appreciate the work you put in for that, and the EDC and Main Street as well. Pass that along to them if you would. All right. Thank you, Leslie. Commissioner Trujillo.
I'm good to go, thank you.
Commissioner Gandy.
James,
Sir.
remember we talked about the bright light? I didn't know,
Yes,
or
sir.
I don't remember what you were discussing. I thought maybe you could enlighten anyone else what you found.
So we've had several complaints about the digital billboard located on Main Street just to the south of Avenue D. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to drive by late at night when it's dark or early in the morning. It really lights things up.
Cassis?
Yes.
Cassis company?
There's been some safety concerns brought up with that. Apparently it's bright enough to where it can actually knock out the light sensors on some of the street lights. So I know there's nothing in our local code that addresses that type of billboard. We did contact the state, talked to one of their traffic engineers, and they were going to send a representative over to the district to evaluate it to see if they had anything in their regulations and state law to address that particular issue.
So we haven't reached out to the owner of the company?
Yes, sir. I tried. I've left a couple of messages for them to contact me.
Okay. No return, I guess?
Yes, sir.
All right, very good. Thank you. Chief, or anything else?
No, that's
All right. Chief?
Nothing to report.
Chief?
Nothing to report, sir.
All right. James?
Yes, sir. So code enforcement and Keep Lovington Beautiful have started the large item cleanup actually this week. What they did was they divided the city into 4 different zones, basically with the center being at 5th and Avenue D. Today they took care of the northwest corner of town. Tuesday they'll be doing northeast from 5th and Avenue D. Wednesday they'll be doing large item pickup southwest of 5th and Avenue D, and wrapping it up on Thursday southeast 5th and Avenue D. These are for large items that we sent out in our water bill notifying everybody. They just simply need to contact code enforcement and to arrange the pickup. We won't just pick up items that are left curbside. You must kind of make an appointment with us. Today we actually had 10 individuals take advantage of it. I know that we have 8 scheduled for tomorrow. Don't remember what we have scheduled for Wednesday, but I know on Thursday the busiest day is about 15. So we have a large trailer where we have our several employees, street department, as well as some code enforcement officers out there picking up these items to take and dispose of them, just trying to clean up the town. In addition to that, of course, this Friday we're trying something new at the Lee Theater, and that's dinner and a movie, showing the movie Winchester. It's a newer, I guess, more mature film for I guess drama and maybe horror buffs. But it's $40 if you call and you reserve your tickets with Star at the number that we have listed. You can call and reserve 2 tickets for $40, and what that does is get you entry into the theater, get you a pasta dinner, which is being purchased from Cornerstone, as well as a large drink, so you can actually eat. And it's a cheap date. For those of you who forget what Wednesday is. So we're encouraging everybody. We're going to try it this time, and hopefully it's something that we can bring back at least once per month. So we encourage everybody to purchase as many tickets and show up.
That's for Wednesday?
No, actually this is for the Friday night show.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
There will be some available at the door. However, if you buy those at the door, don't reserve in advance it. The price does go up to $50 per couple.
Very good.
That's all I have.
And speaking of larger items, James, I don't know if you've seen it or maybe somebody noticed it, but there's a full-size couch that somebody, I guess, threw on the side of the road on Gum Street between 3rd and 9th Street. And I just saw it there a couple of days ago.
Yeah, right by the cemetery.
Yeah. Maybe one of our crews can go by and pick that up, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I couldn't find any place to throw it.
The dump, maybe? Oh, okay. All right, very good. Anything else, James?
No, sir.
Thank you. Patrick?
No, we're tonight, sir.
Thanks, sir. All right. We'll go on into public comment time. Anybody that wishes to address the commission may do so at this time. If you would identify yourself and proceed.
Hi, I'm Leslie Everson with the Chamber of Commerce, and another busy week. This Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. In conjunction with EDC and Main Street, it's a trifecta. We are going to have a business etiquette workshop free for the public from 9 to about 10:15. We also have people from the library coming in. Debbie and Laura are coming over. We have resume and cover letter writing for anybody that needs help with their resume and cover letter. At 10:15 to 11 o'clock, we are going to be doing business etiquette, what not to wear, what to wear, how to present yourself during a job interview and a face-to-face interview. And then at 11 o'clock, we will have mock interviews with different members of the business community. We have 7 or 8 interviewers coming in from different locations, and then Domino's will be feeding everyone pizza for free at 12 o'clock. So it is a free event. We have lots of people on staff to help anybody from high school on up that needs help with that. So thank you.
I was going to ask you that about high school. I think that's a great opportunity for especially the seniors. A great experience for them to come in and get some information on that. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And pizza. That's great.
Yeah, see? Works all the way around. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the rest of the commission? All right. Very good. Thank you, Leslie. Anybody else wishes to address the commission at this point? Seeing that there is no one, We'll go on into action items. Do we have a motion?
I have a motion to consider resolution 2018-05, advertisement of ordinance number 557, an ordinance of the City of Lovington amending Title II, Administration and Personnel, Division 5, Boards and Commissions, Chapter 2.72, Planning and Zoning Commission, amending Title 17, Zoning, Chapter 17.20, A, Single Family Dwelling District, amending Title 17, Zoning, Chapter 17.40, Non-Conforming Uses.
Do we have a second? All right, we have a second by Commissioner Butcher. All right, James.
Mayor and Commissioners, in your packets, we have a copy of the red line ordinance that shows the proposed changes. Basically, what this ordinance will do is three things. One, it's going to allow the Planning and Zoning Commission to approve or deny non-conforming structures as far as having a document issued saying that they're in non-conformance. All other planning and zoning items will still go through the regular planning and zoning and final commission approval process. However, when it comes to non-conforming documents or approvals, the Planning and Zoning Commission would have the ability to approve or deny it. The City Commission at that point would be utilized as an appeals process in case somebody does not disagree with it. The reason that was done was, frankly, we're probably looking at maybe close to about 100 individuals who are going to file for these, and just to save time, since our City Commission and Planning and Zoning typically tend to vote in the same manner. This is just a time-saving feature. Second facet of it is going to be removing the attachment and construction style requirements for carports in Zone A, as well as providing that process for non-conforming structures that were built prior to February 2014. So what this resolution will do is will allow us to advertise this in the newspaper, in addition to mailing this out in our water bills, notification, and the first-class mail to each property owner in the affected zones, which is essentially everyone in the city.
Any questions from the commission?
James, the only one I had was, can you share with the public is the area where it defines all power given to the Planning and Zoning Board? Can you just elaborate on that so everybody's on the same page and understands what that portion defines and what it relates to? Sure.
So the duties, if you look in section 2.72.050, this addresses the duties or powers of the Planning and Zoning Commission. So what the Planning and Zoning Commission is responsible for is to study zoning questions, at the city prepare a report, and suggest ordinance for regulation for the various, height of buildings, setback issues, types of structures, intensity of use, how many square foot is required, and also where zones would apply. They provide those recommendations. So what they then do is, with those recommendations, is that they then submit those to the City Commission for your final consideration and approval. So, for instance, if somebody is requesting a change in zoning over a particular lot or a section of town, they would apply, they would make the application to the city. The Planning and Zoning Commission would then review that at a regular meeting, and then they would make that recommendation, as they have in the past, submit that to the City Commission, and the final approval for that, in that instance, would be on the City Commission. Also, if they requested a variance, which the non-conforming structures is a totally separate issue, but if they needed a variance to allow for different setbacks, much like we handled at our last City Commission, those still go through the review and recommendation by Planning and Zoning that then gets submitted to the City Commission for final approval. This particular ordinance, the only thing it gives them the authority to approve or deny is the conditional approval for non-conforming structures. That's it. Those would not go to the City Commission unless somebody objected to it. Let's say, for instance, an individual wanted a approval of a non-conforming structure that was built prior to February 2014, and the Planning and Zoning Commission said, we're not going to approve that, then they have that right to appeal to the city commission for you to either uphold or overturn that decision by the Planning and Zoning Commission. It also, let's say for instance, somebody in that neighborhood objects to an approval of a structure, a non-conforming structure, then they would have a right to make that appeal to the city commission for your final determination as well. That's the only change in their duties, is it does give them that authority for the approve or deny conditional approval for non-conforming structures. Everything else remains the same as it has for decades.
And that's prior to that date, right?
Correct. The approval, the conditional approval for non-conforming structures would only be for those that were built prior to February of 2014. Anything built after that, they wouldn't be granted that conditional approval. The only way that they would be able to have that approval is going through a variance process, which that variance process goes to Planning and Zoning. They make a recommendation to approve or deny, and then it goes to the city commission for the decision.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Discussion by the board. Everybody good?
I'll take a load off of us.
Yeah, I agree. All right, all in favor?
And just so it's clear, once we've pretty much approved stuff, these guys have to follow those rules, so there's no need
Sure.
for it to really come to us.
Sure. But there is an appeal process in place, so we're still afforded that opportunity in final say-so. All right, any other discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
It would essentially be formed a representation from each municipality, Lee County, NMJC, the EDC, and each school district, where these individuals would meet throughout the year to go over our legislative priorities for each entity. And in addition to that, each entity would turn around and support those by resolution or other formal action. Just more of a coordinated and concentrated effort. In addition to that, we would have literature that we would all share in the cost in these, I guess you would say, a legislative priority book for all of Lee County that would list each municipality's legislative priorities to our state representatives and senators in Santa Fe. And this would be more than just during the 30 or 60-day session. This would actually be a year-round event. We would host several meetings with them. We all have great dialogue with them, but this is just more of a formalized process for it. So essentially we would be able to maintain a consistent presence in Santa Fe. So for instance, if the city of Jal had a legislative priority and they weren't up there, but we were, we would actually be able to produce, you know, the information that they would need in order to let them know that, you know, Lee County's down here and these are what our priorities are. And of course, we have this great spirit of teamwork down here in southeastern New Mexico, but this this takes it kind of to the next level. So what this resolution that we have here tonight, it recognizes that we are supporting what they call the Lee County Coordinated Legislative Committee. The County Commission did adopt a resolution on the 25th establishing this, and what they're asking for is each entity appoint at least 2 elected officials and then 1 administrative position. The way that they would like it is 2 elected officials, and then if they do have a manager in place, that individual be appointed to this committee. In order to ramp up efforts, I know that at the end of this week, the 30-day session is over, but they're already planning for next year with a tentative schedule of March 15th for our first kickoff meeting to start getting things organized for the next legislative cycle.
Very good. Do you need those 2 appointees today?
Preferably, sir. However, we do have 1 more meeting in February.
In February?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's fine. All right.
We have one in March, don't we, before that?
I'd have to look at the calendar.
Yeah, probably before 15th, yeah. Oh, yeah, right there before election, right election.
March 12th.
12th,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Some unforeseen freak thing happened, you know.
I'd like to say that's a good idea. This year, when I was headed up to Santa Fe with the gang, and I call it gang because Gandy went with us in September of this year.
If I may, The, actually, House Bill 2, which is the budget, that's where that is actually put in, as far as how much is going to NMDOT for those different projects. Not a lot of movement on that right now. I don't believe it's even out of the House yet. They have not voted on that. We should expect some action this week, but I know that's a consistent message as well as even with our capital outlay appropriations that they have. I know a lot of funding is going towards the Brinewell remediation project, but the word that we've received is that at our CERTPO meeting was that we can anticipate the same funding levels as last year, especially with the rise in petroleum over these past couple of weeks. But definitely we will. I actually was doing an analysis earlier today, and a lot of things are still in committee. The only thing that has actually moved past the House of concern was the election, was it House Bill 98? That actually passed the House and is on the Senate, but it has not been assigned a committee yet.
So,
Thank you, James.
yes, thank you. So let me ask you, James and or Patrick, we can vote on the resolution, but can we wait on the names of the appointees, or what do you suggest there? Sorry?
Well, I don't know.
I would say, I think you could certainly vote to participate in that if you want. If you want to amend to clarify what the motion would be. So we could vote on the issue of whether to participate, and then identify on a later meeting, some names that.
Okay. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So would you like to amend that
Yeah.
motion?
Yes, I'd like to amend my motion to state that the later date, our appointees will be nominated at a later date.
It's a later city commission.
Later, yes, a later city commission, correct.
And
I'll second that. So are you clear on the amendment, Mrs. Waters?
Yes, sir.
All right, very good.
Could we clarify
Sure.
before March 15th?
Sure.
Just so we make sure we get it done.
Yeah, I'd like to amend the resolution to state that consider resolution 2018-13 approving participation and support of Lee County Coordinated Legislative Committee and appointing representatives at a later commission date prior to March 15th.
And I'll second that.
All right, very good. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries as submitted. Do we have another motion?
Make a motion we consider resolution 218-14, award of janitorial services contract.
Second.
We have a second. James.
Mayor and Commissioners, we did go to bid for a 3-year contract for janitorial services. We publicly opened those bids on Thursday at 10 a.m. We only received one bid. This bid was substantially higher than what we are actually have been paying the past 3 years. It's our recommendation to table this item and direct staff to re-advertise so we can get some more competitive bids in. In the event that we don't receive any competitive bids or we reject those proposals, then we would have the ability to go and direct the negotiations.
Okay, very good. Any other questions? All right. Anything else on that, James?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
We have to make a motion.
Oh, I thought my bad. I thought we had.
Amended.
That's right.
Amended to state that we're going to table.
I make that motion that we amend it. We table.
A second.
Okay, now we have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, do we have another motion?
I make a motion we consider accounts payable.
Second.
Gary.
If I may, your mayor and commission, our single largest expenditure was to the Waste Management Authority for I lost my little marker. Anyway, they were the single largest expense. Next to that, the next largest expense was for Lee County Electric at $56,000. We don't have a whole lot of large expenditures on this bill. A couple of items that I thought were interesting was the very first item on the first page, the 4 River equipment. We had a situation where one of our Bobcats needed a new starter and even had a problem with the battery, so we had to replace that, and that's what that's for. On the second page where it says American equipment, that's also associated with that Bobcat replacement of the starter. And then moving down, you can see that on the first page with the AEP-NM, you know, we were obviously equipping police vehicles that we purchased, primarily the pickup in this particular case. Move along and give you some more. Another item of interest to me was on the 5th page for the Brad Francis Chevy Company. That was the purchase of the pickup that we bought to replace the water pickup that had been damaged, the one that was totaled. So that's the showing our purchase of the replacement vehicle. And then, well, I've got some more that we could comment on, but if you have any questions, we're available to answer them.
Yes, sir. If you don't mind, maybe you or the chief can answer this one. The Taser International.
Yes, sir.
Is it
It's
maintenance?
It's a 5-year contract we went into them. They sent us all new tasers, holsters, and cartridges. And after the 5th year, they'll send us new everything, cartridges and tasers. It's just to keep them up to date. Each taser, if we don't do that, it costs us a little over $2,000 per taser.
So at what cost will they do that? What cost? After 5 years, you said they'll send us new ones?
Correct. And it would just be the continual maintenance contract on them.
The 12,000? How many tasers are we talking about?
27.
Okay. Any problems with those at all?
No, sir.
Very good. Okay. Any other questions by the commission? I'll give you guys a minute to go through.
Scott, you sure you didn't have a question?
We're good. You're good.
I understand that Commissioner Trujillo would like to take the ride. Chief?
We can arrange that. We have a couple of things. But if you put 2 tasers on me, I can handle 2 at once.
Challenge accepted.
You heard it here first, folks. Live stream. You heard it here. Make that 2, Chief. All right. And let us know when that happens. Okay.
Without 2 batteries is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Anything else, Commissioner? Sanchez?
There's a striker finance. I guess it's an ambulance lease payment, I guess. What is that, 22,780?
The striker will be for the power loads, the new power loads that we just received for the ambulances.
We got more pages than ever now. Wow. Say pay the bill.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Do we have another motion?